It's Monday. We're live. We're coming back to you. Oh, the Women's Leadership Forum. Oh, what a lovely weekend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the weather was gorgeous. I think we had a little bit of rain at the end, and now it's getting ready to heat up. I feel like I'm hearing Will Smith in my head. The summertime. Yes, summertime. Yeah. I'm ready for it. I don't know if I'm ready for like a blast of heat. Well, I'm ready for a blast of heat, but to be on an island with a blast of heat.
Right.
But I am happy to be here on this Monday morning. Welcome to the Women's Leadership Forum, coming to you live. Oh my goodness. This has been such a hectic couple of days. I was just telling our guest, Ericka, Sallee, that
Colette, I do
had a lot of.
Can I interrupt you 1 second? I'm not sure if there's like I can see you, maybe you can see me, but on the live, I don't know that people can see both of us.
Yeah, they should see both of us.
Okay, I'm just looking at it as we're talking, and I only see you.
Okay, hold on. I'll check as we are moving along, but I think that they're able to see us. We'll check. I was just telling Ericka how hectic it was, right? And that there was a lot going on, lots of presentations. It's coming towards the end of, the quarter. And, it's budget season. Oh my goodness. But in that, I have to be the same person and I have to be prepared. And I'm not necessarily looking for a transformation, but there are others who, when we talked on Friday, who are reinventing themselves.
Okay.
Right? And they want to do something different. And so in doing something different, they may need a transformation. Now, we have our guest here, Ericka Sallee, who's a coach, she's a counselor, she's a mentor, she's an author, she's the owner of True Synergy and the Citizen. Okay, I'm trying to say that with some vigor and some definition behind it. But all of that put together helps you to be who you want to be, right? That's what she's here for. And so today we wanted to tackle the topic of transformation. She said that she has 6 steps for getting there. And it's not who we want you to be, if I'm correct. It's who you are meant to be or who you want to be, and it's getting there. So I welcome Ericka Sallee, Transformation Success Coach, here to the Women's Forum platform. Welcome, Ericka.
Thank you so much, Colette. And as always, it's a pleasure to be back here with you and the rest of our viewing audience. So, it's funny, you're talking about transformation. It's like, okay, here we are in 2021, and I know you are, and many other people that I talk to, we are like looking for how do we shift through this that we've been in. So, yes, I do focus on 6 steps because I think having a system in place is important to try to figure out, okay, so now what? We've been in this place, what do I do now? So the first thing I would say when you think about, looking at change, transformation, doing something different, however you want to phrase it for yourself, I say transformation because I think there is a process of changing and moving to the next version. And the first thing is really what I like to call this moment of introspection. Like thinking about, okay, where am I right now? Like what's going on in my space? Let me just give myself an opportunity to just think about what's present here and now. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is to either just sit still, be quiet, think about it, and then brain dump it. Because sometimes we have to like get stuff out of our head.
Mm-hmm.
And that could look something like, oh my gosh, here I am. I've been stuck in the house. I've not been doing some of the things I used to do. So, okay, here's the COVID-19. So where I am right now is okay, I might have a few extra pounds. That might be one of the things that you think about during that period of introspection. It is just about thinking about your current situation. Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was. I said when I was getting ready to say, like when I think about transformation, I think about a butterfly. You
Uh-huh.
know, coming. It starts as that caterpillar. Now I'm trying to remember my science, right? It starts as that little
It was a
caterpillar,
checklist.
and or in the cocoon, comes out of the cocoon, it's the caterpillar, and then it changes into something that, not that the caterpillars aren't cute, but what's beautiful and miraculous is seeing that butterfly. So when you're talking about transforming, we're not talking about like a new hairdo or new.
No, no.
No.
Yeah, it's deeper than that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and the reality of it is on the back end of it, it might be a new hairdo because
Mm-hmm.
part of that transformation might be, oh my gosh, I was afraid to get my hairstyle this way because I didn't know what people would think.
Yeah.
So there's a deeper level there when you think about moving from where you are right now to where you want to be. So, thinking about the butterflies, it's almost like sometimes when we think about transformation, we try to get to the thing next.
Mm.
And I always say, kind of like pump the brakes a little bit before we go to, okay, let me just go out there and do it. Because sometimes we can set ourselves up for failure if we don't understand why we weren't successful in doing it in the first place.
Okay.
Which always is the reason why I say, okay, think about where you are now, like what is happening in your space. And then, secondly, it is about, well, okay, what are the things that I want to change? What are the things that I want to create for myself, right? And just listing those out because that helps us to kind of go through a process, just like the butterfly. So this is that same kind of philosophy where you're going through a process to create that change. So
Mm.
first is, all right, where am I now? Second is, well, where do I want to go? Like what do I want to do with myself, and jotting those things down. So it might be things like, oh, I've always wanted to go back to school. Maybe I want a new relationship. I want a new job. Whatever that is, like write it down. And sometimes we get stuck because as we're writing, we're looking at all the ways of, okay, well, how am I going to do it? And my thing is, don't jump to the how, just write the what.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
So let me just ask you something, because a lot of people get stuck. We talked about this on Friday with Coach Bilbrew, okay, Dina Bilbrew. A lot of people just don't know what they want to do next. It's
mhm,
like they know that they need, I'm bored in my job.
mhm, mhm,
I am bored in my job. I'm not liking it. I just go to get that paycheck. It's a job.
mhm.
It's a job that is a means for keeping my lights on.
Exactly.
So they don't know exactly how to get started in that. You said ask yourself what's next or where you want to go. But a lot of people, they are still,
Trying to
trying to
figure it
figure
out.
out like
Yeah.
what's next.
So that's a great point. So that goes back to the beginning. Like if the first step is, okay, where am I right now? You might say to yourself, I'm not really happy in my job. I'm not being fulfilled. That's step
Mm-hmm.
one, is to just be present and honest with yourself about the where you are now. And then the second thing is, well, what do you want to do? Even if you don't know, you might say, like in that second step, I want to get some more clarity around what brings me fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
What would I, even if I weren't doing this, what else would it be? So those are some of those questions to ask yourself in that second step, because you're right, there are people who don't know, and it's okay not to know, but then taking yourself through this process to say, okay, let me give myself an opportunity to figure it out. So I think the other thing we struggle with is because we're not satisfied, then we might feel like, oh, well, there's nothing else. I need to stay right here because I don't know. Well, part of the transformation is, oh, let me start giving myself the opportunity to figure it out, which is what this takes you through.
And again, I guess because it's similar, what we talked about on Friday and what we're talking about here today, one of the things that was said is taking like a skills inventory. Or, you know, there are plenty of tests out here that you could take to find out where you can discover like other things that you may be great at, that you really don't get to hone in on at your job, right? You might find like, hey, I'm a really good artist, but I can't express my art if I am a bookkeeper. And, you know, I might not be able to express my art as a bookkeeper because there's some bookkeepers that are, you know, they're very talented in their creativity, but they may not
land you in jail, but okay.
Right. You have to be careful on that. But and then one of the things that was also said is perhaps you can, you know, survey your friends and ask them. Yeah.
I was going to say that, you know, so here's the thing. Assessments are great, and I'm not knocking assessments, and I'm not knocking the conversation, you know, that talked about that. But there's a simple way to just be in touch with who you are, and that is ask other people exactly, what is it that you see that I do very well? You know, what are some things that people are coming to you for that you just off the cuff, it's like, okay, I'm there, I can do this, I got it. And you might not even realize that you're operating in that space of your gift or something that's more fulfilling to you because you do it all the time.
Right.
You know, the other thing too is that, think about like, what are those things that if I'm not doing this, I find myself gravitating more toward this? What am I reading? Like, am I listening to something and it piques my interest, or I'm really excited about this when I hear it or when I do it? Those are the things that really start to get us to think about, well, what would transformation look like if I started down this path of discovery, which is really part of the second step. It's either one of two things. Either you have a clue and you're brained up in those things, or you don't have a clue, and part of the second step is, oh, let me give myself the opportunity to figure out what it looks like. And that's when the assessment or asking friends or really, you know, tapping into some of the things that you know you already do well that could lead you to the next step.
Okay, so a couple things. I know that our viewing audience is sticking with us, and just stay with us because Ericka, she is dropping gems, even though the video is a little bit disjointed. She still is dropping gems, and you can hear what it is that she is saying. So we talked about step 1. We talked a little bit about step 2. You want to talk about 3?
Yeah, so step 3 really is this is the meatier part of the 6 steps, because this is the place where you say, okay, once I create this list of things, whether it's the things that you know or things that you want to discover, the next part is, well, how do I categorize? You know, once I come up with a list, what do I do with, you know, say 10 things on the list? It's like, okay, you know, here is what I know I want to do differently. Whether it's I want to discover my passion, or I know my passion and I want to do more of it. And you start thinking about all of these different things that might lead you to what that looks like. It's like, okay, how do I not get overwhelmed? So I always say categorize the list by saying, once it's in front of you, there's really 4 ways to look at it. You can say, okay, here are the things that I know I'm not going to invest time in. So that's like a no automatically. The second part of the categorization is if you say, well, you know what, this sounds like I might want to do it, or I might be interested in this, but this is a not now. And then you might look at something on that list and you might say, oh, okay, well, you know what? This is something that I can nominate or designate to someone else. And I can give you some examples of those in a minute once I get through the last category. And then the fourth is these are the need tos. So as I look at these things, these are the things that I know I absolutely need to do. And so then you come up with a plan because your list of 10 things may now only be a list of 3 things.
Right.
Because we want to then focus on, okay, now that I have it, let me focus on the need tos. So let me give an example of what that might look like. So I'm going to go to your example for the person who says, I don't know what I want to do, right? So your list might be, okay, I'm going to spend an hour each night just thinking about what it is that I like to do, right? Just give myself that time. So blocking off time could be one of those things. Oh, I'm going to talk to my friends and I'm going to talk to some of my close family members and I'm going to ask them, well, kind of interview them. What do you see in me? What are some of the things that you see that I do all the time? So those are specific tasks that you say, okay, I want to do this. Then you might say, well, let me look at the parts of my job that I really do enjoy and think about how I could use that in whatever my next is. That might be a thing. So you might look at those things and you say, well, which of these, like, how do I categorize these? Well, in order for you to get to that next, then all of those things may be necessary. So all of those may be need tos, right? Now, so those are the areas that you would focus on in the next step that I'm going to get to in just a moment. So now I want to give an example of a person who may kind of know, all right, these are all the things I want to work on. I want to work on losing the COVID-19. I want to work on saving money. I want to work on building my relationships with my children, my spouse, or whatever. Like those may be things that you may be thinking about on your list. So when you go, and here's a very simple example too. You might say, oh, I like to paint my house. Okay. So when you go through those things and you start to categorize those, you might say, oh, well, the paint in my house is a not now. So I'm going to check that off. But I really need to lose this COVID-19. So that's a need to. And building relationships with my children is important. That's a need to, but maybe a companion is a not now, right? You see how that might look. So you're focusing then on these are the things that I need to do, which then takes us to the next step. So I'm going to stop right there because I know I just threw a lot in that little mix. So I'm going to give you a minute to think about.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking about how intentional you must be. How intentional you must be, because you can declare something that I want to transform. And if you're not, and the word to transform is an action, right? And you must put some action behind it, or you come out the same.
That's step number 6.
Okay, I'm jumping the gun.
No,
but I'm saying even in making your list, right? Even in making your list, even then in categorizing, there are action there. It's an action. You can't just declare I want to transform and believe that that's going to happen or it's going to be given to you.
Absolutely.
Or just the fact that you said it, right? And so I want to say this, and I say it lovingly, and I say it somewhat jokingly. We see on our Facebook pages, and we see in our Instagram pages, it says, I declare that you are going to make $1 million today.
He's like,
and you looking at it and you're declaring it. But let me just tell you, you have to work at it.
Exactly. And
you have to work at it.
That is exactly it. And I think you bring up a good point, because each of the steps does require action, right? Like, yes, you have to be intentional with giving yourself the opportunity to think about where you want to be, what you want to do. You have to be intentional about, okay, let me put this list or these thoughts in some kind of order so that I'm not just jumping out there to do something. There's a system that I'm using to process, how I'm going to take the action to move into that direction. So you got to be intentional with whether you want that transformation bad enough to
Mm-hmm.
follow through on the action each step of the way in order to get there.
And Lee is listening and viewing us, and she says, "Write the vision, make it plain, and read it daily. Keep it in sight."
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Because, out of sight, out of mind.
yes. And just how short. Look, my mind is okay. In 2 seconds, it's like, what did I say I was going to do? Right?
Exactly. Yes. And so
Okay.
the next part of it is, okay, now that I've done this and I've created these categories, I want to focus on the need tos. Okay. Now here's the other piece of it where you might say, oh my gosh, well shoot, I've got like 4 need tos. So how do I figure out how to move that through my own transformation process? And what I say to people is you can look at it in one of two ways. You can look at a list of 4 need tos and say, okay, here's one that I know is the easiest for me to start. And that's where I'm going to focus because I know it's a quick win.
Right.
Other people might say, I need a little bit of a challenge. So these 2 need tos, I need to work on those because I need to challenge myself to know that I can do it. And that person might choose those things. So it really just depends on knowing how you work and what method you're going to use to get you to the action, right? To get you into that rhythm of doing. And that's where you begin to start moving into that transformation phase. But
Yeah, everybody is different in their attack, in their list attack.
yeah.
I like to, as as you were using the example, it's just like get the lowest hanging fruit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, take the W really quick. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna check that off. I'm gonna get it done and get it over. And then that makes me feel really good because it's like one down.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that last thing, some people might call it procrastinating on to by leaving that hardest thing last. But I feel like now, and this is just for me in my
Mm-hmm.
attack of the list. I feel like the hardest thing I'm probably going to have to spend the most time and be the most dedicated to. So let me check off all those other things, those little quick things, get
Mm-hmm.
those out the way and spend deep time with that hard thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's my attack. Some people take it from the opposite end. Like I
Exactly.
want to have the fun or
Mm-hmm.
the easiest thing
Mm-hmm.
last. But
Mm-hmm.
I like doing it the other way.
And I want to say this too, because, what we're talking about is not just about a checkbox. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just a to-do list. It is giving yourself a system to apply and really apply so that you can see yourself in action. And I gotta say this, there's so many different ways to go with this conversation, but when we talk about transformation, sometimes we only think of it as the big thing, right? Oh my gosh, I'm moving from full-time employment to now I want to be self-employed.
Mm.
That's a big transformation. But transformation really happens in these little pockets of
Mm.
everyday living. And sometimes it's as simple as transforming our mindset to the point of being intentional with our actions. If you know that one of the things you want to do to transform your life is, I want to create a healthier version of me. That means
Mm.
I need to be mindful of what I eat. I need to be mindful of, am I drinking enough water? Am I getting enough sleep? All of those things require intention and action. So those are transformation points, as a, not just the big thing that we focus on and we've got to like bite one piece of the elephant at a time to get to a certain place. But those are the things too that require us to go through a specific method, like what we're talking about right now. I just want to be clear with that, because, if people hear, oh, we're talking about a checklist, that's not what this conversation is about. It's
Right.
about, you're coming up with a list of things, but you're putting in mindset, intention, and action to go with that list of things, whether the list is a list of, mediocre things, or a list of, ooh, this is a big thing, making my stomach, rumble.
Or not.
or not.
Okay, so I think we were on 4.
Yes, we are on 4. So
okay.
5 is finding an accountability partner.
Okay, I was waiting for you to say that.
Accountability partner.
Yes.
Because when we create what we want to do, how we want to move to get to the next, sometimes it's hard. Let me say it this way. Sometimes it's not easy to do it without having someone hold you accountable. And that's where we fall short, because we're in our space, we're trying to do it on our own. And sometimes we just need to say to a friend, hey, listen, I've gone through this process trying to figure out what I want to do. How do I want to move forward to create this version of me that I feel like is better than where I'm now? Here are the list of things that I'm going to be focusing on. Can you just hold me accountable? And that accountability might look like, hey, you know what? Let's check in once a week, or let's check in, once every 2 weeks, or once a month, whatever that looks like for you and that partner, and say, can you just check on me to make sure I'm doing these things? And it's got to be somebody that's going to hold you accountable and not stoke you.
Okay, I was going to say, what does an accountability partner look like? Because there's some that's like, yeah, girl, I don't know why you did that in the first place, right?
Yeah.
You're not looking for exactly that accountability partner.
So accountability is, how can I say this? It is someone who cares enough about you to be honest with you, but can do it from a place of integrity.
And love.
And love. Yeah. It's one thing to say, girl, why did you even do that in the first place? Like, because then you're getting defensive, like, well, wait a minute. But it might sound something like, well, tell me, what's your why? What makes you excited about that? What does it really, get you to the point where you're like, oh my goodness, if I could just do this in my sleep, I would do it, as opposed to, ain't nobody doing that. That's not.
And they're also your cheerleader.
They're also your cheerleader.
Oh, yes.
That when you want to give up, or when you don't want to put in the effort, it's like, nope, you got this. Nope, keep moving. Nope, look at the result. You got it. Keep on going. What's the
You almost there, girl. Go get it. Go get it.
How can I support you?
Yes.
So accountability is that. And that's a special kind of person. You know that there are some people who will find any and everything negative to say, no matter whether or not the sky is as beautiful and blue as it is right now. It's like, yes. Those are the people that you might have to keep at a distance. Nah, that's not the person I need for my accountability partner, because I need the right energy, and that's a big piece of it. So that's step number 5. And sometimes you really got to be careful with who you choose as that partner, just for all the
having the right set of people around you, or the right person around you, can make you go further, and it can make you go when you don't want to go.
Yeah, like, and here's the thing. There are people who, how do I want to say this? There are people that you might think about and say, oh, that's my girl, that I know that, I can rely on her. But she might not be the person who has a forward-thinking vision, or may not be able to see outside of her own space to be able to help you, especially if what you want to do is bigger than what you or that person has ever conceived of.
Correct.
You know? So
And know that that person's vision will never be your vision. Because
exactly.
your vision is for you.
Absolutely.
And so what you want is the cheerleader who is not necessarily running the ball with you, but they're going to help you. They're going to help you get down that field through talk, through motivation, through helping you to, if it's exercise you need, okay, I'll count with you. I'll count out loud for you. If it's, and let me just say this, it's not always in the form of money.
It's not always in the what?
Form of money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of times it's not.
So don't get disappointed if your accountability partner is not your funder.
Yes, exactly.
9 times out of 10, they are not that person.
That's right.
That's not an accountability partner.
Exactly.
That's actually a funder.
Yeah, that's an investor, right? Like somebody who can help you to fund the dream if that's what you need. But accountability partner is that person who's going to be your cheerleader, is going to call you out when you need to be in a loving way, as you said. That's very important. And here's the thing too, is that it may not necessarily be a person who, how do I want to say this? It might not be the person who has the big vision like you. And they might not want to do anything different than what they're doing. But if that's the case, and they can still cheer you and maybe show you some things that you don't see in a loving way, then that's a good accountability partner. But if it's the person who's going to discourage you from your vision, your dream, whatever you're trying to achieve, because they don't understand it, then that's probably not the person that you want cheering you on. So I just wanted to say that, because the person could have so many different demographics about themselves, but the key is making sure that they can be there to support you, nurture you, push you, and show you, did you think about this? So, okay, that kind of conversation.
Yeah, and you may have more than one.
You may have more than one.
You may have more than one. Yeah, and like Lee said, you may have a circle or a tribe, and one may serve as your cheerleader, and one may serve as your challenger.
Yes.
Your challenger. And I mean, they're challenging you in a loving way. Have you thought about this? They may be asking you the question, why? Right? So that you take off in a sound way.
Yes.
Right? In a sound way. So what is your reason for doing it?
And
what is your reason for doing it?
That's what you do for me. I just need to say that. When I come to you with, okay, here's my idea, that's what you do for me. You ask me questions, you give me insight, and there's never a moment where I feel like you're challenging me because you feel like it doesn't make sense, but you're challenging me because you want me to think through some of the things that I might not be thinking about. And sometimes, when we're asked questions, we get defensive because we're like,
yeah.
But in a great conversation, a healthy conversation around accountability, it is, oh, well, you know what? Let me give that some thought. Oh, I should call this person. Let me do that. So.
Also the perspective might be different, and it might be a perspective that you did not think of in your in your transformation. So have you thought about, the effect that it might have on your children? So, however you're transforming, have you thought about, you might have to spend X amount of money, or you might not be able to go on a trip to Mexico this year, like some people. I won't say her name, Ericka. But you might not be able to go. You might not be able to go this year, but you might go next year if you decide that you're going to do 1, 2, or 3.
Exactly.
Those, it's not that that person is saying don't go. It's like they just want you. They would have your best interest at heart, and that's a good a good cheerleader, a good accountability partner. When you know that this person, it has your best interest at heart.
Absolutely. And I think it makes me think about another conversation that this kind of stems into. And it's like, knowing who's in your circle. Because knowing who's in your circle is a very important part of the transformation process. And sometimes the people in your circle may not understand the transformation so much that you have to decide, how they're going to be in your circle. Right. So that's probably a whole different conversation. But
that's a part 2. Part 2.
That's a part 2.
Okay.
So step number 6 after establishing an accountability partner is the action, right? So we've been intentional with actions from step 1 through 5 to just get to the point of knowing, okay, here's what I'm going to focus on. The last step is don't just write it and don't just talk to your accountability partner about it. Don't just say it to yourself, but now you got to do it. Now you got to do it. And doing it is attached to something that you just said a few moments ago. Well, why am I doing this? Right? It's not just about writing a list, getting into the integral pieces of, okay, here's what I want to do, but it's like, okay, why is this important to me? If I've been walking around fearful and wondering what people are going to think if I transform myself and change my hair, then why am I doing it? I'm doing it because this is what I like. This is what represents me. This is the style that I like. This is what gives me personality. That's my why. So me transforming into this new person with a new do, and, maybe I've lost those COVID-15. I'm doing it because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel healthier. So that if somebody does challenge you outside of your accountability circle, you don't have to question, well, why am I doing this? Because you already know. And that's probably one of the pieces of the transformation process that we miss because we want to jump out there and do it, but we don't take the time to really dig into, okay, why am I doing this? Who do I need to align with to make sure that I do it? What are the steps that that I need to take in order to make it happen? All of that stuff tracks right back to step number 1.
And let's also say we don't owe everybody an explanation.
We don't owe everybody an explanation. Absolutely.
Woo, there's a lot of people who are like, well, why did you do this? Why would you even try? You all, if you know why, that's good. That's good enough.
That's good enough. And that goes back to what we said a couple minutes ago, that then you get to choose. If you are challenging me that way, then now I have to decide how I want you in my circle through this transformation process. Because if you're coming at me that way, then that energy is not helping me to move through to get to where I want to be for myself. Right? So I can love you and respect you, but it might have to be from a distance.
It might have to be from a distance because at the end of the day, guess who you go home with? You.
Exactly.
You, your hair, your transformation, your less 15 pounds, or your ice cream, your what is it, Ben and Jerry's?
Ben and
yeah, that's up to you. That's on you. That's on you. And so a lot of people get worried about what Jane might say and Susie and Sallee might say, but at the end of the day, okay, they went to their house and you're going to yours.
Exactly. And that's the part that we have to, and that's part of the transformation too for some people. Because some of it might be, I gotta get to the point where I change how I view what other people think about me. Because if I hold on to that, then that's going to become the barrier to whatever transformation looks like for me. And the other thing I want to say, and I got to say this before I forget, is that when we think about transformation, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, it's so big. And okay, because it's so big, I'm just not going to do anything. But what I want people to understand is transformation is a process. Change is a process. So some change might be quick, and other changes you might have to evolve through. So as long as we understand, if I just take one step toward this thing, okay, check that box. I'm going to take another step. Okay, get that. And you just keep moving through and making these small shifts, because what I always say is small shifts equal big wins. And that's what gets you through the transformation process.
So I'm gonna close out here, because we could talk about this for a long time. There's many parts and many facets to transforming. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to challenge our group here, because the one thing that the thread that has been a mainstay in transforming has been self-care. Mm-hmm. Has been self-care. So here's what I'm challenging women to do going forward. To transform into trying to take care of yourself.
Yes. Say it again, please. Can you say it again?
Transform to try to take, and I'm included. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. To take care of yourself. And I'm going to tell you, what'd you say?
Somebody type that in the chat, because
I wish I was fast enough. It's a big enough challenge that can mean many things. Mm-hmm. It could mean, you're going to decide, talk about that priority list, right? That you were talking about. Mm-hmm. You could decide once a week or every 2 weeks, I am going to get a manicure, because that's time out for me. Mm-hmm. I haven't done it. I would like to do it, but mm-hmm. I'm going to make it a point that I'm going to go every 2 weeks, because that's time to myself. Mm-hmm. It can mean, ladies, that you have a book list that you have not gotten to. Mm-hmm. And you love to read, but you don't spend like even a half hour every night just like trying to read, 2-3 pages, mm-hmm. to say by the end of the year, I've read at least two books, mm-hmm. by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So I'm challenging you all, as I challenge myself. You all know, those who have been following, I don't have any water here, but okay. As soon as I get off, I'll get it. But
you better post a picture of you drinking it too. I want to see it. Oh, look what I got. Putting you on the spot.
Oh Lord, I'm sorry, yo.
Forgive
me. But I got a big jug of water waiting for me somewhere. Oh, but that I've had a challenge with drinking water. Mm-hmm. And that you all have been my accountability partners. That's what accountability, even if I don't want to do it or I don't mm-hmm. like to do it, yes. You all are still out there encouraging me. I have a follower who posts in LinkedIn, of all places, did you drink any water? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, do I want this up here on LinkedIn? But you know what? It makes me drink the water. Mm-hmm. And that person is helping me to reach my goal. The other thing is, I know that she has my best interest at heart. Right. I know that she had my best interest at heart, and I'm appreciating her for it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Find that person. Find that person. No harm, no foul. If not, guess what? Ericka and I, we love being accountability partners. But you got to get on the list, and you got to ask us. That's a whole nother thing. You got to ask us to be that. We don't just go out there looking for people. Can we be an accountability partner? You have to
Look,
And so,
you don't open your mouth, then you won't, what is it? A closed mouth doesn't get fed, or is that the right way to say that? So if you don't open your mouth, then we don't know what you need, right?
yeah. And so here's the other thing, and I'm rounding up here. I'm coming back to the Women's Leadership Forum. There's 2,100 women. You ought to be able to find one accountability partner that will help you to transform into whatever you want to do, whether it's self-care, a new job, entrepreneurship, whatever it is out there, you ought to be able to find it. And if not, please let us know that you are lacking an accountability partner. Yeah. And we will help you. That's what we're here for. We are your encouragement and encouragers. And so every time that you come and you view us, we want to have those words of wisdom, whether it's for your job, whether it's for your community, whether it's just for you, we want to have that. And so when we talk about things like self-care and reinvention and transformation and your businesses and your family life and mental health, it's because we know that you all want to see differences in yourselves, or you want to better yourselves, and right?
Can I just, the self-care piece is so important, because what you're saying is, whatever other thing you want to do, whether it is write a book or do something in your community or change your job, right? Whatever, unless you're taking care of you, then all that other stuff, at some point, you're going to run smack into a brick wall.
Yeah.
Because you'll be so burned out, you won't have the energy, you'll be depleted, you won't be fulfilled. So I needed to just piggyback on that, just because it's so important, and especially right now, because of where we've been over the last 15 months. And some of us don't even know what self-care is, or we knew at one time and then it fell to the wayside and you're like, oh my gosh. So I really wanted to just echo that with you, to say how important it is that we as women do not put that at the bottom of the list. Make it a problem.
And for us women who have been multitasking during this COVID period. Now, just before I came on, put a load of clothes in the washing machine, got the fajitas in the crock pot. Okay. I'm on this laptop because the PC wasn't working. The dog is over here snoozing. I don't know how he got in, because I thought I shut the door. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have a meeting at 8:30. So we have to take, if anything, we have to take a moment to breathe.
Yes.
To breathe. And also, when you were talking about giving of ourselves, okay, you can't, how's the saying go? You cannot pour
from an empty cup.
From an empty cup. So when you feel depleted and everybody's still pulling on you, it's hard, because you're running on E. Okay.
And here's the thing too, and this is a spinoff. This is something that I know is not easy, but no is a complete sentence.
No
is a complete sentence with no explanation.
No.
Yeah. Did y'all hear that? No is a complete sentence.
No.
And that's self-care. That is a form of self-care. If I say no, it's because I don't have any more time. The time that I have, I need to figure out how to give that to me. So when I say no, it's because I'm preserving or reserving something for me. And it might be time, or it might be my mental capacity cannot go there right now. So no.
Now, let me just say this. Sometimes it's hard for the recipient.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's hard for the recipient, and you got to accept it as the recipient. Okay? Because especially when it's coming from your girlfriend, because you want to go, why? Why can't you go? Right? And you don't always owe that person an explanation.
You don't.
Now, You said that, and I was thinking about that the other day. This will be another show, and then we're gonna end because
It's a lot.
we're talking like you at my house.
I know.
You're not at my house,
right?
But I sometimes am not accepting of the no.
Okay.
I feel like when you have a friend and you're saying, well, how come you don't want to go? You don't want to go with me, and they just say no. They walk off. I'm like, wait, what? Hey, wait, wait up. Can you tell me why? And I think it's because maybe because my circle is so small that the conversations that we have are so much in depth that I feel like, oh, you can't leave me with one word. Right, you got tell me something. But I think because I do have a friend who just says, no. And I've learned not to question it then, but I do come back. I will be. I will come back and is there a particular reason? But she doesn't owe it. She doesn't owe it to me.
Right.
She doesn't have to tell me.
And I think too, it depends on your knowing your circle.
Yeah.
Like knowing. Sometimes you can ask either then or later, or just feel like you honor the person for saying no and not take it as something personal against.
Yeah. Yes.
Too. It's just like, wait a minute, why you say no? What's that about? So yeah, I get it. I do. And so you don't owe people an explanation is true, but if you choose to give an explanation, then you figure out how that needs to sound to preserve your own space of, okay, I'm doing this for me. No, because I might be tired. No, because I'm not sure if I want to go, whatever that is. But just know that, yes, that is a form of self-care.
And don't get shocked for that person who always says yes when they do say no. Because there are women who are out here constantly serving. Yeah. They constantly are serving. That is part of their gift. Is that they have the gift to serve. And they always say yes. Yeah. You know that person, go on and ask Jane, because Jane, she'll do it, right? Yeah. And then they get shocked when Jane, no. Yeah. Not this time.
I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything else. I'm going to take care of me.
And make it a daily practice. Like, don't just wait for the spa appointment. And I like to get my nails done, but don't just wait for that. Like, every single day, find something that you can do to nurture yourself. That's part of the conversation I'll be sharing in the Citizen Room, in just a few weeks. It's like every single day there's something that you and I can do to take care of us. And be committed and intentional with that.
And I'm going to leave you all with this. Ladies, we know, it's particularly the ladies that are in the Maryland area or the DMV area. We have gotten the mandate that the mask, if you are vaccinated, can come down. But make a choice to still take care of yourself. Mask or no mask. If you have not made your regular appointments, your gynecological appointments, your doctor's appointments, take this opportunity to do that. Take care of you. Yes. Those checks are important. No matter what the information that should be rendered, go take your accountability partner with you if you need to, and get your exams. Yes. Get your exams. Get it done.
It's so important. It's so important. I bet you, and a lot of women, you'll make sure your kids go, or you get your an elderly relative to the, you'll do it. But when it comes to you, it's not a priority. And that's the conversation we need to change.
So that's a challenge in itself. You're supposed to have an exam twice a year. Your teeth, take care of your teeth. Okay. And you know what? I got something for you, ladies. You're going to want to join me on the 31st, I believe. Uh-oh. But it's coming. We're going to talk about skincare. Yeah. We're going to talk about skincare and what you can do to have wonderful skin. So I am hell bent on being a virtual accountability partner by bringing you information that will help you to move it where we're gonna move it forward in a good way, to make sure that you get the things that you need. We're gonna continue to bring people like Ericka, the experts like Ericka, and my fabulous 12, coaches and entrepreneurs who will give you information to help you to do the things that you want to do. If you're looking to transform, we've got enough information.
No excuses. I said no excuses because there's
no excuse. No excuse. As a matter of fact, okay, one of us is going on a trip. You want to know how to go on a trip? I'm bringing that same travel agent into the midst. So she's going to talk about how you too can go on a trip. Okay? So it's not as hard as you all think. And I just want you all to know that we are here for you. We are your accountability partners. We don't while we can hear the excuses, I'm not sure that we're going to accept all excuses, because we're going to cheer you on, because we want to see you reach the top. We want to see you reach your goals. We want you to be the best version of you. Okay. And with that, I want to thank Ericka, Sallee, for being our co-host here today. This was great conversation. I want to thank all the viewers that were in the chat, that took the time to chat with us, because without you, we're not trying to just talk to ourselves.
Right.
We want to know that other people are out there listening to us and contributing to the conversation. And we want you to have a great start to this wonderful week, because I heard it's going to be hot out there. So on Wednesday, let me see oh Lord, it's still mental.
Yes, it's Mental Health Month.
It's May. It's still Mental Health Month, and we're bringing to the table an author, Sharita Brown. So my co-host it's going to be three of us. Wow, three the hard way, talking about mental health on Wednesday. And so I'm hoping that you all will join us. And then on Friday, we have Jamise Pinkney. And gosh, talking about trying to get your business right and bringing that logo to the market and making sure you are making sales. You don't want to miss it. So with that, I want to bid you adieu. We're going to talk about some great things in the upcoming days. We've got mastermind classes and things that we are working on just for you. So stay with us, be great, and continue to be safe out there. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Have a good evening.